Hi, in this video I'm going to show you some of the things with the new 9.3 version of the telemetry of my telemetry tool. First thing you will notice when you have installed or upgraded your current installation, that there's lots of different bat files now which you can use to start the game. So I've changed it so that you don't have to anymore change the settings and restart the game in order to use the different data from different games. So you have these different bat files. There's one for ACC which also starts the relay. There's the different ones for Dirt Rally 2 and also a few for the different games for Formula One games, and also one for the Project Cars 2. And there's also two examples of how to limit the memory of the tools. If you are running your telemetry on a laptop or tool which has a very limited memory, there's some instructions on that. For just read the README file, there's some instructions and ideas how to limit the memory and what you need to do to run in the memory limited system, this telemetry tool. But let's go inside the tool. So let's take the Formula 1 2019 version, and you can see this is a new thing already in the tool, is that it remembers which was the last active tab you had on. So if you always, for example, say you always are using just the race info, then this you don't anymore have to change from telemetry back to the race info every time. So this is quite handy. And I'm actually opening up when there's something which is the newest thing, is a driver DNA on the tool. So I'm actually putting a race recording going in the background so we can just soon see some of the data. But this is the new thing. This is Bahrain, and you can see that there's a driver DNA. This was in the old versions from 6. I think that's level version 6. There's a driver DNA, and this is a good way of seeing how consistent you are. So there are different options. You can have, this will take some of the laps you have recorded. So we are sorting it by lap time. So fastest laps will be top, and then you can decide how you are using which kind of coloring scheme you will have there. So let's take something which make it easier to see. Let's take the gear. So coloring will be based on gears. And you can have a blue lap at the top if you want to. You can also show pit laps, also date on the data, and then if you're zooming, it will reset the zoom on the load. So then you can see how many laps you want to show, and I'm just taking 20 laps. So it starts loading, and here you can see this is a kind of graphical overview of all the laps. Or it's actually loaded at 20 laps from Bahrain. So you can see you are going. This is a gear. So going on the 8th gear, and then you can see to the braking and everything. So this is a good way of seeing that. I can see that my braking on the first turn is quite okay, and then after that everything is just the gearing is just goes all over the place. So this is a good way of seeing if where you are consistent, where you are not. If you always, like here, you can see that I'm taking different gears, different places. So then you know that you might want to practice those areas. So this is quite handy. There's different things. There's the Foxer braking. You can already see how you are braking. Is the braking constant? Are you braking always in the same spot? And this is actually creates the cursor, which will be also in the comparison channel, comparison view, and on the telemetry you can see the same spot on the map later. There's also the like steering, and then you can just see how you're steering, how it is actually going, and how consistent you are doing when you're doing the turns. Like on the last turn, it seems to be going quite okay. So this is maybe the one of the biggest new things which will help you to understand better your driving and make you faster driver. We can go back into the telemetry. Let's see what happens. So this is the new thing. When it just opens, it will take a few seconds, a few moments, when it just loads everything. Let's see on the map where we are. Actually, you can see that this is actually something on the map side. Let's say I'll go for the map for a moment. So you can see there's the dots. We can have also same using just the TLAs, or three-letter abbreviations of the drivers. You can have the driver name. Uh, on other games than Formula 1 2019, you can see on online races, you can see the other drivers' names. And here actually, if you're doing this driving online with Formula 2019, then you will see the driver race number here, which actually comes from the game. So you have some idea. Like for example, in legal racing, you can have understand who's driving where. Then we have the name race data, which is quite new. So you have which lap you are, which is your position, and then we have the speed thing, and also with the car. So here you can see which car you are driving, who's driving which car, and then it's same for all the games. There's the idle line, and I don't know if people know, but you can just do a little bit changes here. And there's a thing you can actually, if you don't like the black screen, you can always press key A, and then it will change the coloring into a white coloring scheme, which is some on some areas like when looking into graphs, it's nice. But let's go into the telemetry and see what's happening there. So this is now the telemetry, and I don't know if you how many of you know, but there was in one of the earlier versions I just put their settings so you can change the graph colors. So let's say that you don't like this, that the throttle is green, then you can change it to whatever color you like, and then the tool will use that color later. You can also have the old red and blue lines for the graphs, but I think this is more of the kind of way the professionals typically like to use them. So I just put it here, and it makes it actually look a little bit prettier and easier to notice which channel you're looking at when the colors are like that. And that's the only, I think, one of the biggest changes. One thing I've added is the clock here to the top. At least for me, when I'm driving in online races, sometimes I just forget time, and this makes it easier to notice that when it's time to stop driving and go to bed. So I just added there. I removed some car names and stuff like that, which you can find from other places. On some of the new things, I just a little bit changed the way how things are shown up. There's the about, which has linked to this YouTube channel and the PayPal link and stuff like that. I moved the tool, so you have the show my IP address if you're running the telemetry tool in different, like if you are running your Formula One on the PS4, for example, this then shows you the IP address, which is the IP address the tool is at the moment using. If there's many IP addresses, it will also list them, and that way you can sort of find out which IP address to put on the game's telemetry settings. There's some other things on the settings. There's not much new. The view, I've added some things here. We can go through there. One new thing is that I added there. You can also open the opponent files for Formula One games, and also for the ACC. You can open an opponent file as a red lap or as a reference lap, which is nice. And then there's you can also open a race history file. So you have to first enable the race settings in the general thing. They have to save detailed race history file, and then when you do that, then it will be quite nice. But that's in the telemetry side. So let's go for on the map side. That's we already looked at the map, and you can actually, if you didn't know, you can with the mouse and control you can rotate, and then you can drag this around, and just scrolling you can zoom in, and actually you can see the. Let's take the red line, and you can see your driving lines where you be driving, and compare that to the how you are following the optimal or ideal line, and then you can just also compare it to the blue line, your fastest lap, how it was. And so there's lots of things you can do with the map screen, but these are the old things, and maybe people have used them before. The pit stop length that comes from the old from data collected from other people at how long it typically takes a pit stop in each track, and it's actually changing based on track. Let's put this here, and then yeah, so. And then on the next is the race info, where it's a little bit new things. The coloring is now consistent. We have I'm using the green color always for players color, and then there's the colors from the Fox different drivers, and then you will have data here. Actually, what I have is a standard deviation, so you can actually see your standard deviations per lap, and this is using just the proper lap, so only valid laps and no pit stop or the first lap. So this is actually gives you again idea of your consistency, how well you're driving. Like on the first sector, quite okay. Second sector isn't that good, but then I've already know that. But that gives you an idea that where you are more, there's more variance between your driving. Something I added here is that you can see the pitting, uh, who's pitting at that moment. So it's quite handy information when you're driving, and so you can see who's pitting. You had the fastest lap, who was fastest one, also on which compound they did that, and they use this. What I've added there is the fuel usage on that uh, fuel mix mode, and what's the usage of fuel per lap on that, and then how much fuel you have left per lap, and then how much excess fuel you have, so you know that if you have to do some saving or not, and then some information about the track. Here is the sort of your conditions of the tires, so how much they have wear. So you have only 2% you use the wear or the life of the tire, and then how many laps you have left, and you can actually adjust that. What's your condition target? So let's go, you want to go to pitting when it's below 70, and then you know that you have 10 laps left for these laps. Another thing I've changed here, that with the mouse cursor you can change a little bit the graph, how many laps you can see. This is quite handy if you are driving. You need to really dive in and okay, how much, how are you driving compared to the others. And I think these are the newest things on here. Then let's go to the race history, which is something you might see on race engineer showing their drivers that okay, this is the way you draw, and you did a pit stop here. People are doing pit stops, and this is quite handy also when you're doing the race. You could see here, okay, I'm going a little bit faster than the others on this tire set, and then you can see if they are matching your times later. And what I've added here is a history against me. So if you are not leading, then you can also see how other cars have, how their times have evolved over time around you. And there's the track position, tire history, which people have been using on the lap times, how they are using it, and also what we called it difference to the leader. So you can actually see the exact diff to the leader, how it evolved over time, so you can see people doing pits and everything, and how it works there. So this is quite handy, and then you can see the names and the coloring here, so kind of legend of that. And then let's go forward. We had the race timing. This has been there, no changes here. You can see a little bit the details of the other cars. Actually, this is the kind of the biggest thing is the delta and your best and their best and everything, and just understanding how is the timing. And you can sort this by game data or track position, best lap, last lap. Also show the delta to the leader, or you can just show delta to the car in front. The delta to the leader shows how much behind you are to the leader, and then this shows you how much you're behind to the one driver just in front of you. And then we have more. This is for Formula One, where there's lots of data about the fuel usage if that's available. Online races, it's not available if people haven't made their data public, but in offline races, so solo races, you can see all the data to your other guys. Then we have the old driving. There is not much changes. Let me believe it here. The fuel usage and the current fuel usage and current the ARS gain and a little bit of that. I already added, so there's a little bit bigger map of the kind of history of DRS. It doesn't, the history of friction circle doesn't show up here. The screen is a bit too small, and I don't know if we can make it so. But you'll see when you start, and there's a nice graph which will evolve over time, and then you can also save that graph or the picture if you want to do that. And here you can actually see this, which is your tire compound, how much tire life left you have on your tires, and then the temperatures. And this is the slip or spin, how much faster. If it's red, it means that the tire is rotating slower than your speed, and it's green, it's rotating faster. This is quite handy to understand. For example, at the starts, that how much you're spinning your wheels, or are you spinning them at all? And then we already had the driver DNA. This is the time trial info, just basic information about the time trial. This is quite handy for maybe the Dirt Rally 2, where you just want to see how much faster driving, might not need some other information. And then there's the comparison tool, where we can pull the slider, and you can actually see here the driving input, the friction circle, control input, revs, throttle and brake, and then we can just see how you're doing. Compare that, and this is when you move in the cursor here, it will also move in the telemetry and the map and the driving data now. So it's quite handy. I've actually changed some of the colorings for the graphs so that they are also consistent over the whole application. And then something new is also at the 9.2 I added there is a way of storing your data into a database. So now we can actually do a little bit reporting on the data, so you can see the fastest laps and the average lap times per car on that track, and also how many laps you have driven on that track on which car. And it's quite handy to sort of understand a little bit which is your fastest car and what are the average lap times. And also when you do the pit stops, you can a little bit see what's your average pit stop time, and then you can compare. Like here you can see this is maybe 20 seconds actually that I've lost during the pit stops, so it's not as much as it's on the other tool, but it might be higher. And then you can just choose which game you get the data from and the track, and then which is the event you are looking for the data from. And then I added a little bit statistics. Might be handy at some point. This was there in the old tool, and I just wanted to get it back just to. But this is quite handy actually if you are comparing two laps. You can a little bit see how much more braking you are, and then there are the other things like how long did you spend on different gears and what were the sort of differences between the revving and everything. And then there's a raw data, and then we go back to the telemetry, which is here. But this is in overall all the things that are in the tool now, and I might do something later, but this is what's now in the 9.3, and you can also get it from the race department from the old link. So I hope you enjoy this. Thanks. Bye.